right center. That ball is gone into Monument Park.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the 34th episode of the Monument Park podcast. Lately, Luke and I have been busy, but in our free time, we've spoken a lot about the Bronx Bombers over the phone. We concluded that we didn't want to be redundant with our takes and waited an extra couple days before we sat down behind our computer screens and talked Yankee baseball. With the All-Star break right around the corner and the trade deadline looming in the distance, we are back. Luke, how about the boys in the Bronx?
Yeah, they've kept up what we've expected and what we've seen this year. Bats are a little stagnant. Some guys have stepped up though. Still, nothing's really changed in overall, like where the team's at. I still think everything's the same, which is good. It's nice that we've been the same all the way through. We know we're good. We know things we have to fix, stuff like that. So it's definitely been productive. We're kind of just killing time until the trade deadline.
We really are killing time, and Luke and I are talking, and it just didn't really seem like there was too much like motivation to jump into another episode, because it's like, do you guys want us to hop on here and tell you guys that we need Andrew Benintendi, we need Ian Happ, we need Wilson? Like, we've said that stuff like 5,000-6,000 times, so like, what's the point? So like I said, we waited a little extra time. I'd say we have some stuff to talk about. We have played a bunch of series since the last episode. Pretty sure the last episode, the first series was against Houston, and here we are playing against Boston. There's been a lot in between, but like we said, it's just been pretty stagnant. But first topic, we found out the other day that Aaron Judge and Giancarlo Stanton would be starting in the corners in this season's Midsummer Classic, which is super cool. I'm happy to see Judge made it. Obviously, Judge was the vote leader in the American League, and Stanton, for the first time in a very long time, is on the ballot as an outfielder, and he gets voted in right in front of George Springer. So it was pretty cool to see that. Judge's fourth appearance, Stanton's fifth, and the two guys.
I was a little surprised, to be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, Stan's hitting like 230 right now.
Yeah. No,
he's right in the middle of his cold streak, so it's like,
yeah, it is a little weird. It is a little weird, and like you saw with like that final phase thing, you saw like Adam Duvall on the ballot hitting like 210. So Stan's a very popular player. I feel like you don't have to like the Yankees to like Stanton. I feel there are a lot of people that just like Stanton because he just hits moonshots, and he was very likable on the Marlins. So I don't think a lot of people stopped liking him after he went to the Yankees. So good to see that. And Stanton said that he would consider participating in this season's home run derby. He's from, I believe, California. One of the teams that was on his no trade or his trade list was the Dodgers. So, I would be totally for Stanton doing the home run derby again. I saw him do it in, I believe, 2016 in Petco Park, when he was just hitting absolute bombs. Pretty sure he won it all. He definitely did. But, a lot of people talk about the home run derby dilemma. It's the derby doesn't help you out. The derby screws up your swing. I don't think that pertains to Giancarlo Stanton. I don't, because he's one of those guys where it's like he just gets in there and he's just like swinging. Like, it doesn't. And right now, like, he can't get any colder. So I'm totally for him doing the derby. I don't know how Luke feels about it, but
yeah, that's kind of where I was gonna get to. Like, obviously, I think it's stupid. Like, the whole festivities thing, I just don't really why are you doing it? But I mean, it's fine if he's doing it, because like you said, he's so cold. Like, every ball he's made contact with the last month has been a home run.
Yep.
So it's just kind of his swing.
Yep.
So in that regard, I don't really care. I just don't want him to get hurt, but he probably won't. It'll be fine. But like, it's not like Judge doing it or like someone else doing it where they're hitting so well and it like messes with their rhythm.
Yep.
So that's not really the worry with him. I just want everyone to stay focused and healthy, but I think it should be fine. It would be cool to see him hit a bunch of bombs in California this year. So you can't be upset.
I just want to see him beat Pete Alonso.
I
So
hate that guy, man. He can't win it again.
yeah. No, that'd be cool if
Like his World Series.
yeah. The one thing he looks forward to every year, not the playoffs, the home run derby. Um, I do really want to see Stanton beat out Alonso, and I if Jordan does it, I don't see how anybody beats that guy. I mean, he's got the home run derby swing, but I could see Stanton winning it again. Stanton, like I've seen the guy take batting practice before, like he swings so effortlessly, like he'll just go the other way, but he'll just swing all arms. I mean, that's all he is really. He's just swinging arms. Like he doesn't. His lower half is kind of like secondary, which is why sometimes he gets out of rhythm. So I don't know. And we'll see today at 5:30 if when the reserves come out, if Trevino cracks the roster. I'm afraid Christian Vasquez is gonna grab that second catcher
He
spot.
should. I think he should be fine. I think he should be fine.
Because Trevino is the leader in defensive runs saved in Major League Baseball. So there's that, and then Clay Holmes, pretty much a lock. Michael King, maybe. Probably not. They really fill up the all-star bullpen with closers. So Clay Holmes fits that brand, but not Michael King and probably Nestor, maybe Garrett Cole, probably not Garrett Cole, probably just Nestor, just because he's Nestor. And the next topic we wanted to jump into is just the Houston Astros. I think right now, where we stand right now, Houston's the better team. And if you want to, throw it back, look at that 4 or 5 games that we played against Houston. There's 2 games that we did win. We won on like miraculous comebacks. Maybe the second one you don't call it miraculous, but the first one was miraculous. I mean, I was there to see it. They were down 3 runs going into the 9th inning, and Aaron Hicks hits a 3-run game-tying home run. If that's not miraculous this season, I don't know what is. The Yankees played poorly from the majority of those games. They did. They couldn't figure out any of the Houston starting pitchers. Christian Javier threw a combined no-hitter against the Yankees, which is never fun at your home ballpark. Just couldn't touch him. And after seeing that, the Yankees have to construct a lineup that will not flop against their unit like it has done so many times. And I know there is a good chance that we finish with the number 1 seed in the American League, but the World Series runs through Houston. And I don't think there's really a debate there. They are postseason, performers. They all, I bet you could go down the entire roster and everybody has at least 2 years. Pretty much almost everybody has at least 2 postseason seasons under their belt. And with the way Jordan Alvarez is swinging the bat, his OPS is 100 points more than Aaron Judge's. They're just that much scarier. So we'll see. I don't want to get to October, get to the American League Championship Series, and then go dead silent against the Houston Astros because I've just seen it one too many times. Luke, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think it's like we're the top 2 teams by like
Easy.
a mile. Like it's not close. And then I definitely think there is an argument that they are better. I also think looking back, we were at the end of like a 20 game in a row game streak. Like we just played the Rays, the Jays, the Rays again. Like it was the hardest part of our schedule easily.
Yeah.
And I think I knew that was going to come into play. And I definitely think us winning that miraculous game at the beginning kind of let us relax a little bit and then almost let the series get away from us. But we had another comeback, so we were good on that.
Yeah.
And then the one game in Houston, I mean, like, what are you gonna do?
That one was weird.
We're not a complete lineup yet. Like, I'm not here to like if they stay the same, I will not be confident at all. But I know that we're definitely gonna get at least one more bat.
Yep.
And then when you have at least one more bat and you have the lineup at full strength, top to bottom, I think that we are definitely as good with a better bullpen. I think if we hit their pitch, that like the starting pitching is really like the only significant edge they would have on us going into the playoffs if we update it in the bats. So I think that would be a comfortable place to be where we just have to come through and hit. And we have guys that we didn't have last time we played them that come through in big spots. And some of our other guys are maturing and stuff. And I definitely
Yep.
think we're in a good spot. It's not definitely not panic time or like worry time even. It's just we know we have to improve, which we knew before the series. So it's definitely not something to be panicked about to see how that series played out. And I also wish like we kind of got robbed of another series with them with this one game and then
Yeah.
the double header. Like it's
Mhm.
kind of annoying.
It
I
is.
want to see it at like a normal 3-game set in Houston would have been nice to see
Yeah.
just to see where we stack up. But I don't know. I mean, in past years we've gone to Minute Maid and beat them and then got washed by them in the playoffs. So I don't
Yeah.
really hold like too much stock into any of this. I think it showed what we already knew about the team. So I definitely didn't have much of a reaction to how that series went.
Yeah, no, the series, I mean, after we split with them, after we got that last walk-off, I was totally fine. Like I was breathing. The next game I went in thinking they were gonna lose and it bothered me. I was so fine with losing that game. I know that sounds weird, but we just traveled one day to Houston. Like you can't expect the team to just, and I know Houston was flying back from New York as well, but that's their home ballpark. They slept in their own beds that night. We didn't. So there's that. But the trade deadline is August 2nd. And what really does concern me about Houston, and they're very aggressive uh, in late July and early August now, I guess, at the deadline time, is their biggest needs are catcher and first base. And they have Maldonado behind the plate, who, the pitchers love, great defensively, can't hit water if he fell out of a boat. And then you got Yuli Gurriel, who won the batting title last year, but has just been horrible this year.
Too old.
I guess,
I think
maybe
he
too old.
finally aged out. I
I
think.
maybe. I guess
Hope so.
he may have just hit the wall. I don't know. But what concerns me is there's two guys on the market that I think they can afford. And the two names are Wilson Contreras and Josh Bell. And if the Astros bring in Contreras and Bell, I don't think Bell's really going to be that expensive because, you know, I do believe he's on an expiring deal. And if even if he isn't, he's on the Nationals. He's a first baseman. First basemen aren't that expensive. I mean, it's Josh Bell. He's a great player, but he's not Freddie Freeman, that kind of guy. And then Contreras, dude, if you look at their lineup, punching in Contreras and Bell, I don't care who's playing in center field. That team is scary. I don't think there's a move we can make at the deadline that puts us over them if they do those two things. I really don't. And like, even if they go get Contreras and Hap, like they're still like significantly better. And then they can just like slide Gurriel to the bench. And like, I know he hasn't been playing well, but he has really performed in the postseason. Like sometimes that just doesn't leave someone like Gleyber Torres. So yeah, I'm concerned. I'm concerned about what they do at the deadline, and I don't want to be sitting at 3:45 on August 2nd and find out that the um Houston Astros traded for Josh Bell and Wilson Contreras right before the deadline ends. Because that's what happened with Zach Greinke. And I know Zach Greinke, we hit him pretty hard that one year, but this is different. You're getting a switch hitting first baseman who's hitting over 300 with 15 home runs ish, and then Wilson Contreras. So I really hope that doesn't happen because that would just be a very scary sight.
Yeah, that would be really bad. Do you think I almost see them sticking with their catcher and Gurriel and trying to get Reynolds.
Maybe. No,
Like I could see that for
yeah.
sure.
The scary thing about them is they've got prospects.
Yeah, that's
They have
definitely I
prospects.
think what's gonna happen, honestly.
And they recently called up Corey Lee, which was their top catching prospect, who's I know a top 50 prospect in baseball. And I know he can hit. So, if he starts swinging the bat well for them, that would be unfortunate as well. because that's just one less guy they have to go get. So
Yeah, that would be
Houston, man.
brutal. We need these NL teams to trade for some guys.
Yeah.
Need to outbid them, I guess. I mean, it's not even like we're competing for the same guys, other than I guess Reynolds.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I hope they show some loyalty to Gurriel. I hope the pitching staff, they don't want to mess with that. Which honestly, if they brought in Contreras and it messed with the pitching, like there would be some pros there. If they get Brian Reynolds, it's a problem. Like, yeah, if they get any of these guys, like it's really significant because they're like kind of like us where they have the top half of their lineup and then the bottom, and their top is better than our top. And then so they fill in the bottom and we don't. It's kind of not
Even
gonna go
just
well.
adding Josh Bell, like a switch hitting first baseman who just hit bombs. Like, I don't
Yeah.
want that.
I would be okay. Like I'd rather Josh Bell than Reynolds for sure.
Reynolds,
Obviously,
yeah.
that's like
I
obvious.
haven't heard too much about Reynolds in Houston, like with substance there, but I have heard
Bell
they're
or
interested in Contreras and Bell. So I mean that alone is just bad if that kind of comes to fruition. So we'll see. We'll see.
Yep,
I
that
just
would be
cross my
bad
fingers.
news. Can't. There's no sugarcoating that. If they add bats in spots where,
Even if we get Brian Reynolds and they add those two guys, it's
yeah, no,
that's what I was saying. Like,
nah,
I don't know if
yeah.
there's a move that we can go
Well,
make that's like gonna put us over the top
Gurriel's still
alone.
part of their like top, even though he's hitting like
Mm,
two. You
no,
don't.
he's not.
Where's he hitting?
He's hitting low. He's
Not
hitting
low, like
low.
stat wise, but like
No,
he's
no, 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 no. He's hitting low in the
Chaz
lineup.
McCormick,
All right,
the
no,
catcher.
yeah,
Like who else is bad? Anybody?
it's who's ever playing center field. Um, Either it's Myers, McCormick. Even McCormick's a pretty solid fielder and can hit a little bit, but McCormick, Myers, and then Maldonado and Gurriel. But like everybody else hits.
Don't they have? But if Alvarez DHs, don't they have two kind of weird outfielders?
Um, I Alvarez has been playing a lot of left field. Like that's
I don't
been
know
what's really
didn't
different.
he get voted as an outfielder or a DH?
He was in the DH, but
Let's
he's
see.
been
Let's see how
playing.
many games he's played.
He's been
I
playing
mean, the
tons.
last one I saw, he almost like died.
Ooh, sorry about that, but someone just fell. I know if you look at Fangraphs, like the Astros are. If you look at their depth chart, this is probably the most reliable depth chart you're gonna find. Um,
Yeah, I mean, he's played 30 games and 33 games in the outfield this year. That's like what? Like a little less than half.
yeah,
I
yep.
mean, I don't know what because I could definitely see them getting an outfielder, but then just DHing Alvarez and still having kind of some holes.
Yeah,
Wouldn't be
no.
good.
So
It wouldn't be good, but it wouldn't be like tragic either, I think.
basically,
If
what it looks like right now is Maldonado behind the plate, Gurriel at first, Altuve at second, Pena at short, Bregman at third, Brantley in left, Myers in center, Tucker in right, with Alvarez as the
forgot
DH.
about Brantley.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's who I was missing. So I was like doing it in my head.
I mean,
But I
yeah,
don't know. I mean, it's like Gurriel's getting older, Brantley's old,
yeah,
Bregman's
but
been weird. Like there is a path. There is a path. It would just be really bad if they got a couple more bats. I don't know. Yeah,
yeah,
Brantley's like down years hitting like 290, so it's not.
yeah. No, they're and I don't want to talk about them any longer because I'm just getting scared talking about them, but they're gonna be an issue if they just fill the holes. That's all we have to say. Moving on. Nestor Cortes and Jameson Taillon, two guys that were looking like who were neck and neck in ERA in the top of the American League. They were some of the best pitchers in the in the beginning in the American League, and Nestor's ERA is still pretty dang low, but their last seven outings they haven't been good. Nestor has been human. He's got a 4.29 ERA across that 7 start span. He's allowed 37 hits in 35 and 2/3 innings. 7 starts, 35 innings. It's about 5 a start, but 37 hits and 35 and 2/3. JMO, on the other hand, been worse. 5.12 earned run average, giving up 46 hits across 38 and 2/3 innings. I mean, this is the first time we've seen JMO being bad since before that Philadelphia start in June of last season. I mean, he's been nails pretty much ever since. And now he's having a stretch where it's like, all right. So the Yanks just keep on winning. I believe JMO's 4-1 in his last 7 with a 5.12 ERA. I mean, he's 4-1, and Nestor's 3-2 with a 4.29 ERA. Those are both winning records. But like I was saying to Luke before the podcast, it's like the Yankees are getting away with things because they've just been playing so well. But when you look at it individually, it's made me reassess what we need and how we should look in the postseason. And Luke and I have talked a lot about, the postseason rotation, where Nestor, sits in that. And something that I think the Yankees should consider and what they should, do in the postseason is put Nestor in the Julio Urias role, something that I like to call that Julio Urias role. Because in the 2020 expanded postseason, you had to win a lot of games. You had to win so many games to get it, at the top. And the Dodgers rode Julio Urias, who's a star southpaw starting pitcher, out of the bullpen. And the southpaw accumulated 13 to third innings out of the bullpen that postseason, allowed 4 hits, struck out 15, and didn't give up a single earned run. He also made 2 starts, but like I said, you needed to have a deep rotation. He needed to come in. But I'm not saying that Nestor Cortes has to go into the postseason and be that lights out. He won't be. You can't sit here and try to prove that. But for someone who has experience pitching relief, combined with his unorthodox ways on the hill, I think he could be super valuable for the Yankees in a long relief role. And let's not look past that. Nestor has never pitched more than 93 innings in a season. He's already at 87 or 88. So after the All-Star break, Yankee fans should really expect, a lot less Nestor Cortes to help savor his arm for the games that, count the most. So Nestor, it's a spot in the season where he's been struggling lately. Maybe the Yankees they're taking a look at his innings, get him off his feet a little bit, rest his arm a little bit. Don't show him to every other team, because we've said it a lot. Nestor is a guy who thrives on the unknown. And when he's, on, the other team has no idea what's coming. When we've seen Nestor pitch against teams multiple times in a short span, Nestor gets hit around. So we need to kind of figure that out. What do you think about Nestor in particular?
I mean, even when he was pitching well, you and I had conversations about this, because we have Cole, obviously he's pitching game 1. Severino, Monty's been our game 3 guy for the last 6 years. It seems like we've always kind of chalked him in there. So him and Taillon. I mean, Taillon's just always kind of been the odd guy out. I don't really know. I mean, but if we throw Nestor in this role, we've always just talked about, he could be a long reliever. He could really get outs whenever. He's kind of like a rubber arm. You just throw him as you need him. And I definitely think that could be somewhere where he thrives. And I think he's kind of the guy that we can. I've always had this vision of us going up in a series and then starting him. If we went up 1-0 in a series and we just wanted to Nestor them and just see what happens.
Spot start Nestor.
Yeah, exactly. I could see that being a thing. But I think just going into it with a plan, I think having him be a guy you can bring in really at any time, pitch 2 innings, and just keep it moving. I think he's the most fit for that role. He's the only non-prototypical starter, so I think he kind of has to be that role just by default. We don't really have another guy like that.
Mhm.
But I mean, if we rolled into the postseason with Cole, Sevy, Monty, and then either we trade for someone or maybe Tyone figures it out enough to be like a 4 in days we don't want to just run our 3-man rotation, and then we have Nestor and King being those guys that can go get innings whenever, like just important
Mhm.
outs. I feel like those would just be our important outs guys. I think that makes our bullpen a lot stronger, and it doesn't really weaken our starting rotation because we have depth. So I think this
Yeah.
has kind of been something that's always been a little bit in the back of our minds because just how Nestor is as a pitcher. And so I definitely don't think this is a bad thing or something to shy away from because you need a guy like that to make a run.
Yeah, no, totally. Totally. I agree. I agree with you. Um, Tyon's just been a guy that I never really felt like was going to be in a postseason
Yeah.
rotation, and like he's not really a guy that I really want to see out of the bullpen because he doesn't really have like
Mhm.
overpowering or you know weird stuff. So personally, I see a postseason rotation with 4 arms. We're not going to go into the postseason with Sabathia, Pettit, and Burnett. We're not pitching guys on short rest, so we're going to need 4 guys. And at the moment, like I feel pretty dang confident with Monty being like that fourth starter. Well, he might not pitch in that fourth game, but like that fourth starter in a postseason rotation. I just really think right now the Yankees need that X factor, swaggy
We
presence
got
on the mound. Number,
Castillo. I
yeah,
wanted
we'll
Castillo.
talk.
I really do. I
I
really do.
I really do too, and we'll get more into that later. But he's a guy where it's like you punch him in number 2, Severino gets number 3. It's less pressure. It just works. It just works. And then you have Nestor out of the bullpen. It's that's really good. That's
I um,
really, really
I
good.
almost think if we get like say we got Castillo, you throw Monty in the third game and then Nest or Sevy in the fourth. I feel like having 3 hard throwing
Yeah.
righties in a row could get a little dicey, and Monty's just our ultimate like change of pace. He's always been that way.
Yeah.
Just get outs type guy. And I think that I mean we have Sevy at our 4 in the playoffs. That would
Yeah.
be nasty.
And it's one of those things where it's like it really depends on who we're facing. There might be a team that's, more lefty heavy, more righty heavy. So, that's kind of how you piece together your rotation, who's got more rest. But I think if we add another starter, we're in good hands. We're in good hands. And I still think Tyon's a very solid regular season pitcher. I'm kind of moving away from my original take that I wanted them to re-sign him in the offseason. I think a guy like Clark Schmidt could be in that role. Domingo Herman is the fifth starter, someone that we're really not paying much. I think the fifth starter on a really good team isn't really that important. And I don't really want to spend 13, 14, $15 million on Jameson Taillon when I could just pay Clark Schmidt very little, Herman kind of similar, to just be that fifth guy. So
I mean,
that's I
if
just don't see
yeah.
stuff translating in October, and that's kind of where I
I
was
mean,
going
if
with that.
if we have that top 4 that we're talking about, you could be the 5th starter.
Yeah.
That just works. It's a
Yeah,
great top 4. What are
it
you gonna do?
is. It's great. So the bullpen has been lights out. Um, Pretty much everybody's ERA, the exception of Castro, but Castro's got like a 3.3 ERA, which I'm totally fine with. Julie's ERA is closer to 5, so there's that on the Mets. But everyone's ERA is like 2.5 and lower. So it's been great. Even Lucas Lickey's got like a 2.37 ERA. Um, this bullpen's been amazing. And we've got guys coming back, but we also have guys that like we want to still see in the bullpen. Albert Abreu, Ron Marinaccio just hit the IL with like a dead arm, like red shoulder inflammation. So 2 guys are coming back: Domingo Herman and Jonathan Loizaga. And when I was hinting at Nestor Cortes getting less innings, I'm kind of factoring in Domingo being his caddy. I think Nestor is going to go, 3-4 innings. Domingo's going to pick up right where Nestor left off and take it right to the, bottom of that bullpen. Yankees need to see what Domingo is. If Domingo can get some innings before the deadline, and I know we only have a couple weeks, but if Domingo can show that he's still very capable of being a starter in this league, and I do think he is. He's not great, but he can do the job. I think if you go and trade for like a Castillo, you can trade them a Domingo Herman. You can just slide him into the deal. And I'm not saying he has any, too much value, but at least you're sending another team, a starting caliber rotation guy, and he's going to be making very little money. So he is a guy that you could throw at the end of a deal and, sweet it up a little bit. So, but right now, I do think it'd be smart if Domingo's kind of Nestor's caddy, and Jonathan Loaisiga should be returning kind of soon. So that's another guy that's super important in our bullpen. And, at the beginning of the season, we were thinking, he's probably the closer that, picks up Chapman when Chapman leaves in the offseason. He's probably the new guy. So want to see Loaisiga. That's really with the second half. If I had to pinpoint something that I really need to see in the second half is how Loaisiga and Chapman fit in the bullpen, how good they're pitching, and where it kind of runs out. Because Chapman, I have no trust. I have no trust in Aroldis Chapman, and I never will. So I don't really
just
know.
leave him off the postseason roster.
You could.
Let's just save ourselves the ultimate. We know how it's like we've seen the movie before.
Yeah. No, we have.
We know going into it. So why not? We can't just let it happen again.
Now Loaisiga is a different story. So it's keeping Loaisiga around and trying to figure out what Chapman is. Maybe they trade Chapman. Who knows? I don't know who would take him, but a team that may be desperate for a you looked like Miguel Castro for a second.
I know.
If they could trade Chapman, I don't know. I don't know who's going to take on that whatever prorated $6-7 million to the end of the season, but that's something.
Maybe the Orioles need a guy.
Set him right there. Set him up for.
Oh man,
set him up for some disgraceful losses at the end of the season. But you got to figure, you got to wonder who's leaving the bullpen or who's getting sent down. JP Sears is a guy that's going to be optioned back to AAA. He's done a very nice job in his 2 spot starts. I think he's made the 2 out of 4 starts that the top 5 guys haven't made. I think Ryan Weber was another. No, Clark Schmidt was another one. And I probably couldn't tell you the other one. But it's pretty crazy how 81 out of 85 starts have been by these, top 5 guys. They've stayed healthy, knock on wood. So, and so Sears gets optioned, and we'll probably see a surprise IL stint with someone with maybe a Albert Abreu dead arm or Albert Abreu shoulder inflammation, just so that we could clear a spot up. I know that's really not allowed, but I mean, Albert Abreu has no more options. That's why he's been DFA'd 3 different times and off 3 different teams. So I do think Albert Abreu is kind of like that odd guy out. I don't think they want to give up on him. So he's showed that he can pitch. Litke, I could see the Yankees upgrading on Litke, but I can't see Litke just going away.
No, they won't do that. It would be Abreu.
Probably. And then Marinaccio is going to come back, and Marinaccio was a guy who, did the podcast a while back. In that stretch, Marinaccio gave up 1 hit in his last 45 hitters. It was a pretty crazy run.
Yeah.
And he's got stuff. He does. So that's what that is. But it'll be interesting to see how the roster kind of flips around when these guys start to come back. Now, the American League East is freaking loaded. The Baltimore Orioles just had their first winning record in the month of June first winning record in a month since I believe August of 2017. Or first winning June month 2017. That was the last time that happened, which is crazy. They're 2 games back of a 500 record. They're 42-44. They are playing crazy baseball. If you've looked at their bullpen, they've got one of the best bullpens in baseball, and you might not know 2 or 3 guys in their bullpen. It's pretty crazy. They
Dylan
have
Tate. That's all I
Dylan
got.
Tate, Felix Batista, Sinel Perez, Jorge Lopez. They're all just really, really, really good. Really good, especially Jorge Lopez and Perez. So and that's kind of been their Achilles heel when the Orioles have been good in the past, was their bullpen, and they've got it now. If the Orioles get some starting pitching, they are good. If I'm the Orioles, I'm not trading anybody. Mullins stays, Mancini stays. I think those are the only Santander stays. Like, those are the 3 guys that I've heard potentially get moved. Everybody else, they've got Gunnar Henderson, who's a top 10 prospect. He's a shortstop. He's in AA, AAA. He's coming through. Grayson Rodriguez is like the best pitching prospect in baseball. He's coming through. They could be an issue. They will be an issue in 2 seasons. Like, I'm not saying they're going to contend, but no, they'll be a contender for the playoffs. They will. They will be this year. I'm telling you that right now. Right now,
they are.
The 3 games back of the last wild card spot, which is funny because it's the Toronto Blue Jays, a team that everybody was in love with at the beginning of the season, and now they've won 2 of their last 10, and they're on a 3-game losing streak, and Luke just loves it, and I know they are 20.
Stink.
They're 24-30 against teams above 500. The Orioles are 24-32. So they have the same amount of wins against.
I mean, the Orioles are going to beat us anyway.
Yeah.
Like, no matter how bad they are. So why not have them be good?
Why not?
Like, I enjoy this.
They're just going to beat up on the other teams. Like,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, they're going to beat us either way. So let's just have them beat everybody.
I find it really funny. And we're 15 games up. We're 15 games up. And last night's loss was against Boston was tough. But then you sit back and you're like, okay, yeah, we totally should have won last night's game. But you look at the standings and we're 15 up. So
I can't get worked. I just can't. Like, I cannot get worked up. Like, Houston gets my blood boiling because they're the other team up there with us.
That was a playoff atmosphere yesterday, and it was on Fox. Can we not play on Fox ever again? Can we sign a TV deal? Can we play on like CBS?
Yes.
They don't do baseball, but they should. We can't play on Fox anymore.
I mean, we have to. Playoffs.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying.
It's not going to be Joe Buck, so I think part of the curse has to be dead.
Didn't matter yesterday.
Even though it didn't matter yesterday, all those weird plays in the last inning. Well, what are you going to do? But we talk about Matt Carpenter. I'm excited about Matt Carpenter right now. We have a lineup where it's like we don't need a DH, but it's only because we have 3 infielders for 2 spots. So say we get to the playoffs and we just don't, like, say Donaldson's not hitting, even though he's been raking the last couple of days, say that just doesn't continue. Or like DJ's weird, Glaber's weird, someone gets hurt. We have a guy, Matt Carpenter, who can come in and DH or even play the outfield, which he has been a little bit. And that's one of those guys where it's not as loud of a move as like a Josh Bell or a Wilson Contreras, as we were talking about earlier. But the guy's coming in, seeing 8 pitches every at bat and like hitting home runs. Like, that's a much quieter version of like what the Astros are probably going to do, which we were talking about earlier. But it's like when you get to the playoffs and it's like Matt Carpenter's hitting 7th, it's like, oh, Matt Carpenter's hitting 7th. But then it gets there and it's like, wait, it's Matt Carpenter. He's hitting 7th. Like, he could crank one here. Yeah. And that is something where I think we're quietly doing what we were just afraid that Houston's going to do. And seeing him hit this way is kind of, it's exciting because he has postseason like pedigree. He's been in there. He's been there before. He kind of fell off. Now he's back, low, re-energized. And I think, I mean, if we could stick this guy in left field and leave all those spots open, that's just a spot filled. Like Gallo, we replace Gallo with Matt Carpenter, like that is definitely an option. I still want an outfielder because there's definitely like a death lineup we could run.
Yeah.
If we had that. but he's just a guy who can do really any role we need, come off the bench, anything. But it's very promising to see him perform this way.
Yeah, promising might be an understatement. I mean,
Yeah.
it's been crazy. He's hitting in what is 70 plate appearances. He's hitting 328 with 9 home runs and 20 RBIs. I believe Gallo has like 10 home runs and like 19 RBIs. And Matt Carpenter's been here for how long? He's a 1.4 WAR. Matt Carpenter is a 250 OPS plus. He's 150% better than the average hitter. And I know it's limited, but he's got 1250 OPS. He's getting up there and he's putting the ball in the seats. He's getting extra base hits. He's doing this. He's doing that. The guy hasn't played the outfield since 2014, and he hasn't started in the outfield since 2013. The Yankees just said, you know what? We're 15 games up. Just stick him in the outfield. They've been playing him in left field at Fenway Park. Maybe one of the harder outfields to play in all of baseball because of that, just how crazy the Green Monster is. And they're just playing him out there. They just said, you know what? We're playing him out there. So
Yeah.
it's crazy. It is crazy. And yeah, sure, it's not ideal that Matt Carpenter is playing in the corner outfield spot and the Yankees, but the Yankees I have to realize that he needs to be in the lineup. So say we get to the deadline and we can't get our hands on and I doubt this happens, but we can't get our hands on a Benintendi or an Ian Happ, Brian Reynolds. We have Matt Carpenter. I know Yankee fans aren't going to want to hear that. They might. And I know we don't want to lose a playoff game because Matt Carpenter couldn't get to a ball in the outfield. Also don't want that to happen. But it's still a fairly good backup plan because it's not Joey Gallo. It's Matt Carpenter. Like, he's hitting so well to the point where we could just stick him in left and, hope the ball doesn't find him. The Little League strategy.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if they're going to play him in left anywhere other than Fenway, because literally, if the ball's over your head, you just turn around and play it. Like
it's
I
still
can't.
a pain.
Oh, I mean, it's a pain, but like,
I mean, he was playing
again,
he was playing right field in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, that's more. I definitely see them trying some things, but I don't know. He kind of gives me like they're playing him the way they would play Stan, like left field in those easy parks, and then sometimes right. I mean, dude, if we got an outfielder and then he could like DH,
Yeah.
like that's plugging the whole. That's
He's
like
got to
what
be
we're.
in the lineup. Like
I know.
it's enough is
I
enough
really
with
do.
like Matt Carpenter isn't in the lineup because we got to play so and so. It's no, he has to be in the lineup. He's hitting so well. He has to be in the lineup.
We need to go in to October having like we know we're probably Trevino's probably going to be the catcher.
Yeah.
IKF's probably going to be the shortstop.
Yep.
I could see them getting weird with that. I don't know with who, but there could be something we're not seeing at shortstop because IKF's really mediocre. And I don't think we thought we were going to be this good. I think that's kind of where we're like, like we're stuck with this
Oh, no.
guy.
I
Like
mean,
we're really good. I mean, obviously, but like I don't even think we thought we were going to be like better than last year. So I think now we're kind of like, all right, what do we do with this IKF guy who's supposed to be a stopgap? But
yeah.
say him and Trevino plugged in 8-9. Our 7 hitters above that need to be like hitters. Like it needs to be an outfielder plugged in for Gallo. Guy cannot hit ever again. Like it needs to be our full infield. And then we need a guy like Matt Carpenter type DH. Like we need our top 7 to be really good if those are going to be our bottom 2.
Mm-hmm.
And the way if we can get that to shake out, I think we're in solid shape with this lineup.
I do too.
Yeah,
it's
a lot
cool.
of it's just guys not hitting right now, which is fine because it's July and we're up 1 million games and we know they're going to come around.
Well, you know who is hitting?
Who?
Aaron Hicks.
He is hitting. He's doing great.
Aaron
he really
Hicks
is doing great lately.
Aaron Hicks is like, we're in a spot right now where it's like, oh, like we love another outfielder, but it's like, if all we need to go get is a starting pitcher and we can, use those prospects there, like we still have Aaron Hicks. Or if the Yankees were like, okay, and go back to like our original plan, like, okay, we'll just platoon Hicks and we'll go get someone really affordable, like 2 guys we'll talk about later. I'm not going to say their names yet, but Hicks is hitting 241, which, I mean, he's a career 234 hitter. So he's hitting 241. He's got 6 home runs, a lot more recently, and he's got 26 RBIs. He's still in 9 bases. But to look at, he's got a 359 on base percentage, and his slugging was at like 280. I think the last time we talked. Now it's at 364. Like, and I know he had a home run off of a position player, but his slugging's 364. Like, gets it up a little bit. We're talking 750 range, and that's what I said in the last episode. Like, I would not be surprised if Aaron Hicks gets in the 750 range because all he's just got to start doing is just hitting extra base hits. A couple extra base hits will get him to that spot. He's got a 110 OPS plus. That's 10% better than the average hitter. His career OPS plus is 99. He's a below average hitter in his career, but he's playing better. I heard on the broadcast yesterday from Ken Rosenthal that like Aaron Hicks hasn't really consistently played the last 3 years. Aaron Hicks said that it feels like he hasn't played the last 3 years. So maybe that means that he's finally figuring it out. He's here and he's here to stay, and he's just going to start hitting the baseball. I mean, his defense is what it is, but hit the baseball, and that's what he's doing.
He's gonna. I don't want him off the team. Obviously, like he's right now looking at it, he would be like one of the better 4th outfielders in baseball.
Probably the
I
best.
just don't think it could be our plan.
Oh, it can't be in our plan. It can't. Like I've said multiple times, this is the year where we need to go, to the wall and get the best players, the best positions that are available. But it's still like I'm still at ease. I'm still at ease with Aaron Hicks. It's
it's good. It's good he's on the team. He's like, again, like he's gonna get a lot of playing time regardless in August, September, because
get guys off their feet.
1,000 games up.
Yep.
Which is good that he's productive for those games, but it also shows us we have an option in the outfield.
Yeah, we do.
And if we just need one outfield and then our outfield's set pretty much through and through. And I think, it's definitely good to see because dude, he was so bad. And now that he's like good again, I just hope to like they better not be like, okay, Aaron Hicks is our left fielder. Like that's it. Because I'm gonna be like, okay, like what? What's going on here?
They can say that if they want to go trade for like a shortstop and a starting pitcher.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. Like it either has to be one or the other. Like with shortstop and the outfield, but either way it has to be a bat. That's just what it has to be. But yeah, no, definitely promising stuff. I mean, it wouldn't shock me. He gets in the playoffs and he like runs into one. Like it's shown he still can, I guess.
I mean, like yesterday's atmosphere did feel postseason-esque. It did. And I know it's just
it's more like desperate.
Like, it is desperate. It is desperate. Like sellout crowd, Fenway Park.
Like, we didn't care.
We're down 1-0. Aaron Hicks, it's a home run.
No, huge. Yeah, it's nice to just have that.
Night before, what did he homered and triple a couple of nights before? So
no, yeah, he's been doing his
extra base hits. He's been hitting extra base hits, and that's what we want. The other day we picked up Richard Rodriguez. A lot of people might be like, oh, like picked up Richard Rodriguez. Like, what is he doing walking the street in July? Well, he's been suspended for 80 games for PEDs. So that speaks to why. And we signed him to a minor league deal. What a lot of people aren't really talking about, and I know PEDs enhances your performance. I got it. But since 2018, Richard Rodriguez has been one of the best and most underrated late inning relief arms in the majors. He's posted a 3 ERA flat across 222 and a third innings, and he struck out 227 batters. Had like a 2.94 ERA last year. Was pitching well for the Pirates. His swing and miss numbers were pretty low. They trade him to Atlanta. He pitches pretty solid in Atlanta, but then he's a healthy scratch for the postseason. So it's weird. But, they non-tender him. He gets caught for PEDs. You want to be like, oh, well, the PEDs, well, he's just not good at all. No, well, you can't just say that and not see what he is without him. And who knows how long. Maybe he was injured. I don't know enough about the guy. I'm not going to do the research to figure it out. But it's a move where it's like, all right, he can't pitch in the postseason because he's been suspended, but he hasn't hit. And I'm going to pull a quote from the MLB Trade Rumors article. He has 4+ years of big league service time, and won't have enough time this season to eclipse the 5-year threshold. So he'd be controllable through 2024 if he earns an MLB look and impresses club brass. That club could be us. So it could be like a Trevor Rosenthal pickup like a couple years ago where it's like,
Yeah,
oh, we pick him
just
up.
a long-term play, see what happens type
But
thing.
it's a long-term play, and Matt Blake
Yeah,
wonders.
exactly.
He may earn back the respect he once had. So we'll see. I think it's interesting. I do. So because he's a guy that we could just plug into our bullpen next year for nothing. And that's one guy off the list that we don't have to go get, with Chapman and Britton probably leaving, hopefully. Fingers crossed. And Britton might be coming back this year. The Yankee bullpen could be in good hands. I just don't want to put Britton and Chapman in big spots. At all. If they want to rest King and Holmes and put in Chapman and Britton, okay. But you still got to realize
that's such a crazy thing to say out loud.
No.
It's like, what are we doing, man? We're never paying a relief pitcher again.
That's what I'm saying. It just proves that you don't have to pay your relief pitchers, because you can just find guys who spin the what out of the ball, and there it is. I mean, there's your bullpen. It's crazy. And I guess that's the one thing that I have sort of enjoyed about analytics is the spin rate, because you can really find guys.
Is a good one.
That's it. That's all I care about is that, because analytics tried to justify Joey Gallo to me, and I wasn't having it. So right there, I was just like against analytics. No, if you're going to sit here and tell me that Joey Gallo is good based on analytics, I don't care about analytics. But Clay Holmes has been really good. He was an analytical pickup. So I'm back on the analytic pitching train.
Like even in high school, like pitchers look so much faster than they're throwing sometimes, and it's like doesn't make any sense. And there was never that way to pinpoint it. And then now we just like have it.
Everyone used to talk about good ride on their fastball.
Yeah.
And
that was the key word. Yeah.
No one was really like thinking about like what actually like caused the ride. And it's what this
live arm, all those terms, because they just didn't know what they were talking about now.
Yeah, pretty much. So I don't want to sit here and be like, oh, let's go trade for this guy. Oh, let's go trade for that guy. And then look at the standings and they're like 2 or 3 games out of the wild card. They're not going to be trading their guys. They're going to try to make the playoffs. This is what the whole postseason, extra team or two is.
Yeah, this really did a number on the deadline. I didn't think about that when it happened, but it really did.
Yep. So it keeps more teams in it. So Luke and I are going to go through sort of the teams that aren't in contention anymore. And I went through pretty much every depth chart on every team that was like at least 7 games out of the final wildcard spot and picked out some names. The Anaheim Angels, Los Angeles Angels, Anaheim. Wrote down 4 names. Aaron Loop. He struggled this year. He's got a mid-4 ERA. Pretty sure he's getting paid $8 million next year. Not really too sold on that. Yeah. He's a lefty, but no. Raisel Iglesias, another guy. He's their closer. He's been really good in the past. He's got 3 years left at an AAV of 14.5 each year. No, thank you.
Nope.
Taylor Ward, really good. Hitting 300, plays the outfield, 15 home runs, making nothing. Why would a team like the Angels, who have so much money invested in Trout and Rendon, and then eventually Ohtani, why would it make sense for them to move a guy who's performing well on an affordable contract? It makes no sense. But the one guy that I kind of looked at, and I was like, if the Yankees do get their hands on a Brian Reynolds and they can't get their hands on a Luis Castillo, what about a guy that we were sort of interested in the offseason? And that's Noah Syndergaard. And I know Syndergaard came to the Yankee Stadium and he pitched like absolute garbage, but he's got postseason experience. Granted, it was 2015, 2016, but he's pitching in New York, and he is on a hefty 1-year deal. He was getting $21 million this year. So we'd probably have to owe him $10 million, or maybe we give him an extra prospect or 2 so that they just pay that. But we would not be stuck with him past this year. That's what makes this interesting. He's a 3.84 ERA across 13 starts this year. which is pretty solid, but his velocity and spin rate is down. So maybe we turn him over to Matt Blake, and maybe Matt Blake can work his midseason magic. I just think it's an option that nobody's talking about. And I think Noah Syndergaard could just be one of those guys where maybe he doesn't slot in front of Severino, but maybe he slots in front of Montgomery. And he's got good movement on his pitches. I know he does. I've seen his split or sinker before. His spin might be down, his velo might be down, but I know he has it in him.
Luka. Yeah, I mean, sure. I don't know. Throw him late. It's another one. Like, we have these 2 months after the deadline to just like completely mess around. The worst case, he stinks, and that's what it is. Like, I mean, I don't want to give up
Jaime Garcia or
that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, the only
Lance Lynn.
the only capital we have to man. The only capital we'd have to give up would be to get them to pay the money. Which I don't know. I would be fine giving
we weren't too afraid of that last year. We made Chicago pay his contract, and we made Texas pay Gallo, and
that Gallo deal, man, so bad. But yeah, no, I mean, if we get like a significant bat, whether it's an outfielder or a shortstop, like why not
take a chance?
Like,
why not?
Yeah, go ahead.
We have so many. One quick thing: we've picked up so many games in the division, or we're up so many games in the division where it's like we can test out Syndergaard.
Yes, for sure. No, there's gonna be a lot of trial runs. And the guys like Hicks are going to get a lot of run late in the year because they can.
30-30 coming.
It's funny. Oh, yeah. Imagine a little back.
Maybe 2020.
30.
Maybe. You'd have to go on an absolute tear.
No,
you'd have to maybe 15 and 20. Maybe that's more reasonable. But
yeah, let's just keep. Yeah. No, but I like these Detroit options a lot. I mean, isn't Soto getting paid again? Or getting paid decent?
Soto hasn't gotten paid yet. He's broken, I think, 3, maybe 4 years ago. He's got electric stuff, but his walk rate's too high, and it's too much like Chapman. He's a spaz.
Yeah, we can't do another one like that. And Chafin's a guy. Andrew Chafin's a guy we've talked about, just like a lefty, kind of like he's seen it all before type guy. Which again, that's another one. I'd be like, yeah, like perfect.
Sure. I mean, he's better than Licky.
But... yeah, no, exactly. But then this last guy that I'm sure you want to talk about with the Savant page. They would be nuts to trade this guy.
Alex Lang.
Like a freak.
this guy, and I saw him, I think, pitch against the Yankees. He wears like a short sleeve turtleneck and he just hums. And I was like, this is one of my guys. Like, this is one of my guys. So when we talk about electric stuff, this guy's got some of the best in baseball. Curve, sinker, change, heater. Very Clay Holmes-esque. You go to Pitchers Nation on Instagram, I'm sure you could just scroll through and find videos of him just throwing absolute frisbees, but at like 98. So just look at his Savant page. 93rd average exit velocity. 82nd percentile xERA, expected ERA. 91st percentile expected batting average. I'll just jump to the 79% barrel percentage, the 92% expected slugging, 91 percentile K percentage. I know I said that Soto walks too many guys. This guy does too, but it's one of those guys where it's like his stuff is just so great. Clay Holmes, as you remember, did struggle a lot with walks. This guy's 14th percentile. It's really bad. But 99% whiff rate, 92% K chase rate, 87% fastball velocity. This guy has a Clay Holmes Savant page, and he's tons of team control. He's a free agent in 2028, but he's already 26. So, I don't know. I would be willing to give up a lot because this is a move that's like he's going to be cheap. I guess the Tigers would never trade this guy, but I just wanted to talk about him. So,
yeah, not fair.
I mean, no one's brought that up for the Yankees. Michael Fulmer's another guy. Joe Jimenez is another guy, but this guy's exciting. Kansas City. We've just Andrew
about it. He's really
that's it.
He's like a fit, and it like officially came out that we're looking at Benintendi and looking to trade Gallo. It's like, oh no way. Like we've been talking about that since April. Like
I think a lot of people were misreading that and thinking the Yankees were going to trade Gallo to the Royals. You got to like read the article, but like I was reading like what people were saying on Twitter, like, oh, like we're going to trade Gallo for Benintendi, like that. Kansas City does not want Joey Gallo. Like, why would they want Joey Gallo?
No, yeah, it's such a
But
disaster.
Benintendi for the right price. I mean, like, yeah, it's not going above and beyond, but it could be just be the right
He's having
move.
such a good season.
He's having a really good year. He's having a really good year. Oakland, Frankie Montas, not really feeling it. I don't know. He's been pulled from like 3 or 4 starts, and I know that it's because, they don't want to have him get hurt and then they can't trade him, and then it's like this and that. But it's like I'd much rather have a guy that we'll talk about a little later. And we've already said his name, so that really doesn't fit. Um, you go to Arizona and you go back to platooning Aaron Hicks, and you've got this guy, David Peralta, who's hitting 245. Just hear me out. Hitting 245, he's got 11 home runs, 36 RBIs, and a 772 OPS overall this season. In his last 18 games, he's hitting over 300 with a 921 OPS and 60 plate appearances. Small sample size, but it's pretty similar to Matt Carpenter, so it's kind of like the Matt Carpenter sample size. But back to the platoon versus right-handed pitching. Peralta has 223 plate appearances. He's slashing 265, 323, 503. He's a 503 slugging. That comes out to an 825 OPS. He's got 10 home runs and 32 RBIs. Remember when I read you his overall stats and he had 11 home runs and 36 RBIs? Yeah, he's got 10 home runs and 32 RBIs against right-handed pitching. He has terrible numbers against lefties. But Hicks has been very solid against lefties this year with a 377 on base percentage. So I feel like a lot of postseason teams, like they have like that platoon. Like they just have that platoon where they just like punch that guy in, they punch the other guy in, blah, blah, blah. If we're not going to go get a big name, this is an affordable guy. He does have another year of control, and he's going to turn 35 in like a couple weeks. So maybe this is a guy that the Yankees just bite the bullet on. He's due $8 million next year, which isn't a lot of money at all. Maybe he plays well. Maybe he's an Eddie Rosario. I don't know, but it's something to consider. Now, the next guy is Charlie Blackmon, who we've talked about a lot, and I'm going to let Luke look over what I wrote, but, it's almost identical to Peralta,
Yeah. I mean, this is like the move. I just look at these two guys and it's like I like the vision. It's definitely probably in the back of their minds, like if they don't get a Benintendi
Yep.
or a Hap. And it would be if it just depends on what it comes with. Like if we
Yeah.
do the big move and then we get one of these guys as kind of like an insurance thing, like I wouldn't be mad with it. I like that they're both so platoonable with Hicks because it's like so dead
Mm-hmm.
opposite. Like that's definitely good that we have that option out there. It's one of those you got to see what else they do. Like if
Yeah.
this was it, I'd be like, bro, like, are you serious? Like, like,
Yeah.
but that's obviously not all they're gonna do. So yeah,
Yeah.
I guess it depends. It would depend on the other moves. Like neither of these guys would upset me, but I wouldn't be excited either.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I
depending
mean,
on
Blackmon is hitting 276 versus lefties in 93 plate appearances against his 256 against righties and like over 200. So he is just a competent hitter against both sides of the plate. He does play in Colorado, but at the same time, he's a free agent at the end of the year. So this move might be a little more intriguing for the Yankees if they do plan to go down this road. Now, Pittsburgh's Brian Reynolds. The Yankees have recently shown interest in the switch hitting center fielder, and it only makes sense for Pittsburgh's asking price to be through the sky. Although Reynolds' numbers aren't fantastic, he's a ton of team control. He's a free agent in 2026. This year, he's got an OPS of 812 and a career OPS of 849. He's not the best defensive center fielder, but he knows how to play the position well. Personally, I believe the Yankees could bring in Brian Reynolds and another starting pitcher, and it puts this team over the top. So given Pittsburgh's asking price, I would be willing to part ways with Jason Dominguez. Here's why. Dominguez is at least 3 years from being MLB ready. Don't get it twisted. Brian Reynolds is very good. He's controllable, and he's proven at the big league level. If Aaron Judge does leave in the offseason, the Yankees would still have an all-star caliber center fielder in Reynolds, Giancarlo Stanton in right, and the flexibility to sign a Michael Brantley or Andrew Benintendi for left field and free agency. Reynolds isn't even arbitration eligible until 2024, so he actually would have minimal effect on the payroll over the next few seasons, which would help facilitate bringing back number 99. Not only would Reynolds help the Yankees win their 28th World Championship in 2022, but he does wonders for the organization down the road.
Yeah. No, the vision there, it's there. Like I see it, it's there. I'm not like the hugest Brian Reynolds guy on earth. Like I wouldn't be upset. I'd be happy. I'd be with Dominguez, he's another one where you just have no idea. He's kind of like a lottery ticket, but like half of it's scratched off and it's looking like really good, but you still like don't all the way know. So I would be willing to, just because of the trajectory the team's on, like the
Yeah.
timelines just match up better with this. But I would be holding my breath, like making like he has to get off to a good start. Like he has to play well kind of all the way through. And if he doesn't, we're looking at an extremely like iffy situation here. But it's one of those things you just gotta do, I guess.
No, yeah. I mean, it's just like one of those moves where it's like, I'm sorry I wrote out that nice little script, but gotta promote it somehow. But it's Brian Reynolds. He's a guy that's had like an up and down kind of career, but it was weird. Like 2020, not really up and down at all. He came out in 2019 as second in the rookie of the year, second or third in the rookie of the year, right behind Alonso, hit over 300. 2020 comes around, the fake year, can't hit his hat. 2021, he finished 11th in the MVP, very good season, started in center field in the All-Star game, and then this year gets off to a slow start, but recently he's been hitting the ball really well. 812 OPS, killed the ball in the month of June. So you're getting a switch hitting center fielder, and that's what Dominguez is. And like I said, Dominguez is far away. This is a move where it's like you win now. You win now. I get it. Ian Happ might just be the move, and he's coming up next, but like he might just be the move, but Brian Reynolds he's short term and long term, and it might be Dominguez. You don't trade Volpe, but you could trade Dominguez. You can move Peraza. I just have so much confidence in the Yankees minor league system that I'm like willing to trade Jason Dominguez, even with the Mickey Mantle, Bo Jackson hype. Do it.
Yeah, no,
Why not?
they both those players in themselves just kind of scare me a little bit. So
Yeah.
it's not like I'm losing like the next coming in my mind.
Let's maximize on value. And I know
Yeah,
like he hasn't done it in the big league level, but like let's not get to that point where it's like he comes up, he's not very good, and we
yeah.
can't do anything.
No, I wouldn't. Yeah, no, it's definitely something I would be happy with, but it's one of those where I would be like holding my breath the whole time. So I'm
Yeah,
not
no,
excited for
totally.
that, but that's for me personally, not for everybody else. So that's not your guys' problem. I love David Bednar. I mean,
Yeah.
if we could just drop the house and get both of them somehow, I mean, like, hey, I
If we give him
that would,
Dominguez, just give me Brian Reynolds and
yeah, true, yeah, but that should be. I mean, yeah, the package. It just
he's
depends on the
the
package.
problem with Bednar is he's like a free agent in like 27, like 26 or
Oh,
2026
it's
or
too much of
2027.
a.
So he's just so
They just have
cheap.
too much leverage with the guy. Yeah, that makes sense.
And like, what if he stinks?
Yeah,
he's been in the
no,
league for so long. It's like he hasn't been in the league for so long, but he's been in the league for so long where it's like he can go out, pitch really well one year, and then just like pull a Young Wei Koo and stink.
yep.
There's a football reference. Just
Yeah, no,
backdoor
I
football
just
reference
that
over here,
um,
right over here.
yep. No, yeah, these Cubs guys, David Robertson, Ian Happ, it's like again with Benintendi, like we don't really have to say too much. Like it's
Yeah,
just the obvious like fit. But yeah, I
yeah.
mean it still applies
David
the whole time.
Robertson,
Like, yeah.
he's reliable, and it was walk rate. I remember when he was on the Yankees, he like didn't walk anybody. Like that was his thing. Like he was a strike thrower, and now he is like walking a bunch of hitters. But his ERA is still 2.1, and I've seen him get like kind of hit a little bit, but it's still 2.1. So he's pitched really well. He's got 45 strikeouts and 34 in a third innings, and we're not asking him to close that game like the Cubs are. So he's a strike thrower. And when the Yankees have Clay Holmes and Michael King and all these guys, Castro, all these guys that throw all these pitches that move so much, sometimes they're just not going to have it. So David Robertson's the guy that you can just kind of throw in the game, and he's got a repertoire that he's proven. So why not? Why not? And the Cubs are Cubs are whatever. And Ian Happ spoke about him a lot on the last episode. Switch hitter. He's got another year of control. Cubs are selling house, I would think. I wouldn't be opposed. I probably want Happ more than I want Benintendi, but based on the price, I'll probably take Benintendi. And then Brian Reynolds I just want the most. Price doesn't really have any push on that unless it's something ridiculous. But
yeah, no, exactly.
I think just Dominguez.
I'm just thinking more in the way like if we could get Benintendi or Happ with the years they're having, and then you've talked a lot about Joey Wendell, and I've started to think like, what if we could plug that in the outfield and then Wendell can play short? So then it's like, ooh, like that's interesting. Where
yeah,
it's like
it's just annoying because the Marlins, the fish are just swimming around the end of the wild card. Just swimming.
They have who does he even play ever? Like they have Jazz,
Wendell,
they have like where
John Birdie. I mean, he plays. He plays like kind of all over the place. He's played second, short, and third. He played like 180 innings at shortstop last year. I'm pretty sure he made the All-Star team as a shortstop last year. Like he's a guy, and like I had him under other names because he's just not on a team out of contention, but he's a guy, he's left-handed, he gets in the box, he's crouching, he's got his hand right here, and he's ready to go. He looks like he played in the 20s, but that's what I want. Like,
no, I want
imagine Joey Wendell batting ninth. Like,
that's what I'm saying. Like, we fill these, like Benintendi, like this year, I don't know for sure how much Reynolds is better than happened Benintendi.
Okay, yeah, no,
like
fair.
I don't know that for sure. So then if
No.
we just got that option and it let us do Wendell, like I think I would take that other option just for this year. Reynolds is just I've always just said like the long-term play, and it's obviously good to think like that, but there's just two sides to every like
And we've talked about Reynolds as like a long-term play, and we've also talked about Ketel Marte. We probably talked about him until we were blue in the face last year, but then he signed that contract. I didn't include him here.
Terrible. Yeah.
Yeah, no. He is
Has he picked it up?
He has been pretty solid. It's just he's playing really to his contract now. Like he got paid not that much, and he's got a 781 OPS. He's hitting 265 with 5 home runs. Like it's not great. I was just throwing that out there because we talked about him a lot, and it's a similar sort of thing. But Joey Wendell, man, he's one of those guys where it's like if they batted him ninth, it would be scary. And then IKF can be like that backup super utility man. Really, that's what his role should be. That's what his role should be.
Yeah, a little 7-8-9 of Matt Carpenter, Jose Trevino, Joey
Wendell.
Flip it up to the top would be awesome. I love that.
Yeah.
Just like the way the team's constructed, I almost want to fill 2 holes versus like try to go all in on one. And it feels it was with the season Reynolds has had, it's just like it skews me out a little bit.
Joey
Wendell, one of those where it's like you can't. Yeah, I know, me too. But it's like one of those where it's like you can't really go wrong on paper. It just either one you do has to work.
Yeah.
So like we can.
Joey Wendell's hit a bit of a cold streak. He's not at 274, but he was hitting 300 like 3 days ago.
Dude,
trust me.
And I mean, if we had a 274 hitting lefty shortstop that like actually hits the ball, like, I mean, that'd make us better.
It's got 2 home runs.
Better than IKF. I thought he was gonna pop one off one of those position players.
Yeah, no, they literally put him in. Man. They literally pinch hit Matt Carpenter for IKF to just give him a chance. And he just didn't. They faced back-to-back position players, like whatever.
Oh man.
So there's that. But he was another name. Go to Cincinnati. We've talked about Luis Castillo. He's an absolute stud. He's so good. Absolute gas. I mean, he's throwing like 97 on average mile-an-hour sinkers.
Did we know each other when that like fake Luis Castillo trade happened?
No.
Because I was walking my dog.
Yeah.
Or I was like, it was happening. I was hanging out, doing whatever I was doing. And it like kind of happened like right as I was like, okay, I have to take the dog out now.
Yeah.
So I'm walking around with my dog, like just waddling all over the streets, like a 30-minute walk. And I'm just on my phone, like waiting for them to confirm.
Done it 100 times.
Like random, like foreign guy tweeted it in like encrypted Spanish. And I was like, I was so excited. And then they wanted Glaber.
They wanted Glaber. And
we wanted to give Clint. Jackson, obviously, but I just remember being so excited because I thought we were gonna get him, and now he's like better than I even thought he was then.
Yeah,
So
and what's weird is he was god awful for the first half of
he
last
was
year. He had like a
terrible.
6 ERA, and then he just was like the best pitcher in baseball like the second half of the year and got his ERA down to like
Matt
high
Blake with
threes.
that guy. Oh my God. He
Just
may
bring it,
start game
bring
one.
bring the translator around along, and we're good to go.
He may start game one.
He can pitch whatever game he wants.
Yeah, sure.
Here's the
Love it.
ball, take it.
Yeah, no, just take it and let's roll.
Just take it, like wherever. And he has some injury history. I know he came into the year injured, but his
Mhm.
arm's fresh enough, and I'd be willing to deal top prospects. I would center a deal around Peraza. I would
For
put
sure.
Herman in the deal. I would put maybe Wisniewski or Waldachuk in the deal. That's probably to the extent I'd go. I don't
I don't want to
see. The
do
thing is, when Barrios got traded to the Twins, or
that
sorry, to the
guy's
Blue Jays.
so bad.
Yeah, he is.
Oh my God,
When
it's amazing.
Barrios got traded to the Twins, um, sorry, to the Blue Jays. I can't speak. They traded Austin Martin and Simone was Richardson, so that kind of makes me scared about how much Castillo would cost. I just think Peraza is just so expendable, and like people will tell me like, oh well, Peraza, like, what if you just keep him around? Like, no, I'm okay. We have Anthony Volpe. We're
He
good.
also is really good. It's just like we have a better option.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I could see it being like a pitcher, him, and then like they're gonna want Wells. I feel like all these teams.
imagine like a trade deadline of like Luis Castillo, Andrew Benintendi, and Joey Wendell.
That's like if I could sign up for anything right now, it would be that. Like no joke. Like especially with price in mind, like that's
I
perfect.
wouldn't even care if we lost. We just did everything I wanted.
Like yeah, that is. I want it to be a year where like we're sitting there and it's ending if we're losing, say God forbid, but it's like we didn't sell it short. Like we
Yeah,
went for it. I'd just be more sad than like mad. These last couple years, I've been like mad because it's like we ended with like.
we went for it last year, but we got Joey Gallo, so we really shot
Well,
ourselves
we
in the
went
foot.
for it, but we were
Who we?
terrible, so it didn't really like it wasn't like we were good. Like we were
No,
bad. We were a bad team.
we were bad. We had Rizzo,
And
but that's
yeah,
it.
yeah,
Brandon
no.
Drury, the judge and the jury, could we see a comeback?
I
Probably
would
not.
I tonight, I mean, sure.
But where would he play?
Don't know.
Shortstop?
If he could play shortstop, I would be so
I'm
happy if we
looking.
got him.
If
No,
Brandon
I
Drury can play
looked the other
shortstop,
day, I looked the other day and I don't think he does.
I think he may have played shortstop when he was in Arizona, like a long
Yeah,
time ago,
like a
like a
yeah,
very long
but
time ago.
hey, honestly, I mean,
I don't want to see his pitching. I want to see his fielding. He's played 4 innings at shortstop this year. Bang,
perfect. Sign
bang.
me up. Sign me up. Sign me up.
I mean, yeah,
Oh
9 innings in
man.
2020, 35 innings in 2019. He sounds like the move. Shortstop.
Sure. Let's do it. No, there's I think talking about it, I realize there's like more like
He's
paths
hitting
than
278 with 18 home runs, 50 RBIs, and
no,
an
he's
878
raking.
OPS.
That's what I'm saying. He's raking.
Can
But
he play the outfield?
I don't know. I'm like talking about all these guys, like I definitely think there's more paths than I thought,
Yeah.
like to make us better.
Yeah. I mean, if Donaldson was just really, 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 really bad, Brandon Drury would be the play for third, but and the Orioles are just playing too good. They won't trade their closer, Jorge Lopez, who is a sub-2 ERA. And he's just
Yeah.
like, dude, he averages like a 97, 98 mile an hour sinker. That's on average. So that means he's just like throwing 100.
Yep. I mean, when they started this episode, they were down 2-0, and now they're up 9-2.
Yeah.
So what are
He
you gonna
knows,
do?
man. I'm actually going Camden Yards pretty soon. So I get to see the O's at
Are you going to the Yankee
firsthand.
game?
I am. I just found that out today, but we'll see.
I'm gonna try to get my dad on that. Do you know the date?
Yeah. I don't even know. I
Let
don't
me
even know.
know. I
I
would be
will.
down to go to that. I love
Yeah,
Camden Yards.
dude.
I
That
love Camden
it's gonna be
Yards.
sold out. Could very
Yeah.
well be sold out. So I mean that's pretty much it. Yankees are winning. They're 15 games up. Maybe they'll win today against Boston. Probably not. Taillon's just not pitching well, but maybe he will today. And
Hope so.
we might win. Could win the series. And then everything's just happy dandy. Then we go to the trade deadline. We'll figure that out. We might be in California when it happens, but we'll get to you guys somehow. We'll get to you guys somehow. Like that will happen.
That could be a little unorthodox of an episode.
A little bit. You might see a little different setup, but it might happen. It's just gonna happen. Just trust the process.
Has to.
We'll try to see you guys soon. Like we'll do our best.
I think we'll do one more before the deadline.
Probably.
And then, but I mean, it's just like where you run out of things to talk about.
That's what I'm saying. Like we just went on for an hour and 20-ish minutes. And
yeah, exactly.
What else is there?
2 weeks of worth.
Yeah, and like it should be like 2 hours and 2 hour episodes should be 2 weeks. Like it's
yeah.
And that's without talking about the games. Like so
yeah.
Thank you guys for listening and watching. Social media is in the description. Go click it all. Go follow it all. Do your thing. And we'll see you guys soon. Peace.
Peace.